All right. We're done.
There we are. You have to watch the lessons on a video.
Okay, so first thing, some people did not turn in their homework from Friday. So homework 3-1, make sure you turn it in today if you did not turn it in on Friday.
Is there anyone in here?
Because I think only like 6 people turned it in, maybe 7.
There's only like 11 of us.
I know, well, that's not everyone, because I should have 11 papers.
Yeah.
Okay, the second thing is you guys are gonna have a quiz on Wednesday over power rule, product rule, and quotient rule. So we're gonna finish the quotient rule today. I'm gonna give you your homework today, okay? Then we'll do some questions tomorrow, and then when you start class period, I'm not gonna have a quiz that takes the whole class period. It'll be like 4 or 5 questions max, okay? I just wanna make sure you can find the derivative, using power rule, product rule, quotient rule, and then you may have a question over finding like the tangent or the normal line, or maybe both, okay? Which is basically what you saw in your homework. I'm not gonna do any of the ones that you said, why did you put these questions on there? They just try to get you to think deeper. I think Hannah and I were talking about this, okay? You know how to do it, it's just asking you to take it like one step further, and like, see outside the box a little, okay? Alright, so we're gonna finish quotient rule. And I don't even know, did we do the problem that had x squared plus x minus 2 over
Yes.
x cubed plus 6? Did I finish that one?
Yes.
Okay, do I need to rewrite what the quotient rule is, or do you have it written down somewhere? You have it written down? Okay. So would this be example 5 maybe?
Mhm.
Yes.
Alright, look at me. I'm awesome.
You really are.
I have to tell myself that because I don't tell myself. Just like if you don't tell yourself you're beautiful, I expect anyone else to tell you. So you gotta tell yourself.
My mom tells me all the time.
Well, that's sweet.
Yeah,
I mean, my husband does tell me, but you gotta self-proclaim who you are. Okay, now anytime you have a fraction, you can technically do the product rule if you move that to the front and made it -1, but that's gonna make your life harder. Unless, like the only time doing the product rule or changing it to a power rule, but you couldn't do this on a power rule. Like if you had something like this, I think we did this example the other day. Okay, that's actually easier to move that to the top and then use the power rule. Okay, you couldn't do the power rule all in this one, and you haven't learned the chain rule yet, so you have to use the quotient rule. And you're probably like, what is the chain rule? We'll get there. Okay? Alright, so do you remember what the formula is?
G of x times derivative of f of x minus f of x times derivative of g of x all over g of x squared.
Okay, so which one's my g of x?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter, it's the denominator. Okay, so when you're taking the f of x and g of x, your f of x is the numerator, your g of x is the denominator, okay? So it says you're gonna do g of x, so what's my g of x? 2x plus 1 times the derivative of f of x, bless you. Well, if my f of x is x squared minus 2, what's my derivative? 2x. Okay, so you can say 2x plus 0.
Hey, I was working on it.
Were you gonna say 2x plus 0?
I was going to.
Okay, then is it plus or minus?
Minus.
Minus, okay, good. And then we want f of x, right? So x squared minus 2 times
1,
2.
2.
Wait, why didn't
2.
you?
Yeah. Shut up.
Why didn't you do the derivative of the 1 in the denominator?
Okay, so this is just g of x times the derivative of f of x.
Oh, okay.
Now we're gonna do the derivative of, okay, so now we have f of x, and we're doing the derivative of g of x, which was what?
2.
2. Or 2 plus 0. Okay, over. If it helps you to do it, just do it. I mean, I'll probably still make fun of you, but it's in
It's
love.
alright.
It's in love, Faith.
It's okay, man. I'm good.
Okay. Okay, then what's gonna go on bottom?
2x
Sure,
plus
that's
1
what
squared.
those are.
2x plus 1 squared. Okay, so we need to clean that up. Alright, so on the top, if I distribute, this would be 4x squared plus 2x. That make sense? Okay, now pay attention because this is a minus. So this would be minus 2x squared plus 4. Okay, why is it plus 4? Right, because of 2 negatives. Over 2x plus 1 squared. Okay, can I combine anything?
X squared.
Yeah, x squared. This would be 2x squared plus 2x plus 4. Now you can like try to simplify this further, like you could try to factor out 2, and then you could look to see like, does this factor down, but it doesn't, so you could just leave it like that. Cause like nothing multiplies to give me 2 and adds to give me 1.
I don't like that we leave it like this.
How do you wanna leave it?
I don't know, I just feel like it just looks like there needs to be more done, you know? Because that's what we always.
I mean, I guess I could see that. But there's, I mean, they can't do anything else.
I know, it's just like, we've never left math just like that.
Welcome to calculus. Is it also weird the very first time you were allowed to leave out a square root in the denominator? Because you were never allowed to do that, and then you get to calculus and it's all of a sudden like allowed. Okay, maybe it's just me that thought that was weird. Back to calculus. Alright, how do we feel about that one? Good? That's a Monday morning, but. Alright, we're gonna do one more example. Okay, do you remember how to find the equations of a tangent line and a normal line? Okay, so the very first thing you have to do is find the slope. So what do I do if I have an equation and I want to find the slope of a tangent? Find the derivative. Okay, so this, first off, anytime you have a number in front, that just stays off in front, right? Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. So if I want to find the derivative, I'm still going to have the 2 on the outside. Okay, so find the derivative of what's left, and we're just going to multiply by 2. Okay, so what does the product rule say?
Fx times root of g of x.
Okay, good, so let's just stop, we'll do the first part. So this is my f of x, and that's my g of x. So it says f of x times the derivative of g of x. So if my f of x is x, this would be x, times, okay, what's the derivative of e to the x?
Yes.
E to the x, good. Okay, remember product rule, are we adding or subtracting? Adding, good. And then I don't remember if I told you it was, I mean, I know it's the derivative backwards, but how did I have it written down? G times derivative of f, I had it. So g, which would be e to the x, times the derivative of f. So what's my derivative of f? 1. Okay, so if I simplify this,
Do you have to put the over GV next, or?
that's only on quotient.
Oh, okay.
On products, you're just multiplying, okay? And in product, this is also adding and not subtracting. Okay, so if I found the derivative, this would be 2x e to the x plus 2e to the x, correct? Or your book would put it like this. They would have factored out what was in common and left it with this. These are the same thing. Okay? I don't really care. I don't care if you leave it like what it was, or they would have factored out the commonalities. Okay, so if that is your derivative, how would I find the slope of the tangent?
Plug in 0.
Put it in 0, because that's what your x value is, right? Okay? Do you care which equation would you probably have used on your homework? Would you have factored it down, or would you would have stopped here? Okay. Alright, so then we would have done, if I want to find my slope, I put my 0 in for my x's. Okay, well, the first part, 2 times 0 times e to the 0 is still 0, right? Okay, now what's anything to the 0 power? 1, so this would be 2 times 1, which is 2. So my slope is 2. Okay, so if I want to find an equation of the tangent line, we're going to use slope is 2. What would I do?
Y minus 0.
Y minus 0 equals
2 times x minus 0.
good. Okay, so then I'd have y equals 2x. Okay, but what would we do for the normal line?
Opposite reciprocal.
Opposite reciprocal, because remember the normal line is perpendicular, so you do opposite reciprocal. So what's the opposite reciprocal to? -1/2, so this would be y minus 0, it's -1/2 times x minus 0. So this would be y equals -1/2 x. Does everybody either have their book or have somebody close to them that has a book they could look at and share?
Yeah.
Yes, no, yes.
Yeah.
Are there any questions right now over the product rule or the quotient rule? Okay, then go ahead and open your books to page 188. That's what it says on the homework, so for me. That's the same. Okay. Okay, so your homework, I just want to make sure we like go through every set of directions and make sure you guys like understand what's asking. I think there'll be 2 questions that you'll have to struggle with on story problems, but okay, so you have to do 1 and 2. Do you understand what it means by finding the product or the quotient rule in 2 different ways, like how you could use the power rule?
What?
Does that make sense what it's asking you to do? Okay. So you could do the product rule, which is what we just talked about, right? It says, or you could do the multiplication first. So what does it mean by doing the multiplication first?
Distribute.
You could have like, distributed or FOILed it. Okay? So you could do,
So is the g of x the first one then? Or is it f of x?
f of x is always the first one. And then with quotient, f of x is always the one on top. Okay, so like what the first problem's saying, it's similar to the second problem. Okay, so the same way you could do is you could do the product rule, which is like what we just did, right? We just did an example of that. Or, so you can do the product rule. Or, what you can do is you can multiply this out and distribute, so then you'd have x minus x squared plus 2x cubed minus 2x to the fourth. Does everybody understand how I got that? Like 1 times x, 1 times negative x squared, 2x squared times x, that's alright, that would be 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative. Okay, so I can do the product rule, or I can just do the derivative of each part. And what you're doing is you're comparing that these answers are the same. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I don't want to actually do the product rule for you, that's what you're trying to practice, but your goal is you're doing the product rule, and then you're doing it this way, and you're seeing if your answers are the same. Okay? And then it says, which one do you like better?
So it's just proving that you can do either one.
Yes. Yeah. And so you should get the same answer when you do this as you just got right here. Does everybody know how I did this way? This is the power rule we talked about early last week.
I feel like that one.
The power rule? Yeah, it's definitely easier if you can do it. Because this one you have to do like f of x and derivative g of x, or sorry, f of x and derivative g times derivative of that. Okay? Okay, then what's number 2 asking you?
Find the derivative of a function of 2 ways by using the quotient rule.
Okay, and then what, like,
Or by simplifying.
okay, so do you know what it means by simplifying it first? What you could do to simplify it first? Divide, right? So you would do the quotient rule, okay? But if you were simplifying it first, then I want you guys to practice the quotient rule. This is when you would divide each one separately. So x to the fourth divided by x squared is x squared. Negative 5x to the third divided by x squared is negative 5x. Okay, now what about this one?
1/2.
It's actually x to the negative 3 halves. Because this is x to the half. Minus 2 would be negative 1 1/2. Which would be negative 3 halves. And then you would find the derivative from there. And then it says, which one do you like better? You should compare that they're the same. Okay? Everybody good on that? Okay, then the next, maybe I should get on video when I talk. Okay, then the next ones, you have 4 and 5, 7, 13, 21, and 23, I think, are all in the same directions. Okay, now if you can simplify where you don't have to do the product rule or the quotient rule, and you can do the power rule like this, that's fine. Okay? So if you want to distribute and then go from there, I don't really care, whatever's easiest for you. Okay? Is everybody okay with those set of directions? Yes, no? Yes, okay. Then the next one, 27 and 30. Okay, do you know what it means to do f prime and f double prime? Okay, so first derivative and then second derivative. Okay, so we're good on that? Okay, then 34, you're finding the tangent line and the normal line, which I just did 33 in class with you guys, so you should be able to do 34. Okay, then 35 is also an equation of a tangent line at a point. Okay, and then part B just asks you to graph the curve and then the tangent line.
The which of my,
Yeah, I've never heard of that equation, but I've never heard of like the,
Because it's evil.
well, there was like the heaven side equation I had on like a final exam I took, and I never heard of it, but then when I went back to study, you guys did it in like
Is
chapter
this one
2.
really pointy and then the other one's like all like pretty and curly?
I don't know, I have not graphed it.
Are you sure we did that in chapter 2?
Chapter 1.
Wait, what?
Are you sure we did that at all?
Heaven something?
I mean,
Okay, I saw it, hang on, I saw it when I was reading through.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, then 41, you're finding the second derivative and plugging 1 in. Everybody's okay with that? So you use the quotient rule twice. You find the first derivative, but then you gotta find the second derivative, and all it means when there's a number in parentheses, that just means you plug that number in. Okay, I want you to try 46 before we ever talk about it. So I'm not even gonna talk about it right now. Because you're probably gonna be like, I don't even know what to do, but I want you to try. That's the only way you guys get better is by trying yourself, okay? Then 48 is another one where you find the second derivative of 2. Okay? And then it's a little bit different because it gives you what f of 2 equals 10. And then what was the last one? 51. If g is differentiable, find the expression for the derivative of each of the following functions. Okay?
I don't understand.
Okay, so I think you're gonna have less questions on this homework, I'm hoping, than you've ever had. You think you will or no? Probably not. Probably be positive.
Not like me.
I don't know.
When does this due?
Never.
How you feel about Friday?
That
Is
works.
that enough time? I'm trying not to make it like too soon and freak you out.
So like, but a lot of this homework is gonna be like what our quiz is, so we should probably start.
You should probably start it tonight, and then we'll like do questions in class tomorrow. Okay, so if you're watching the video, watch the video tomorrow because you're gonna have questions answered on your homework. Okay, then we'll start class on Wednesday. Would you rather start it or end it?
start what?
Start class. Would you rather start with a quiz or end it with a quiz?
Sorry.
Start it. Okay, so we'll start with a quiz, and then we'll move on to 3-3.
Wait, that's tomorrow?
That's Wednesday.
Okay.
Is Wednesday okay? Or do you feel like you need
Yeah.
to wait till Thursday? I feel like Wednesday's fine.
Wednesday.
I think you guys will be better than you think. So if you have not turned in homework 3-1, you turn that in as soon as possible. Okay? And we'll have a quiz first thing Wednesday. If you do not come in the morning, you'll just take your quiz at the beginning of class 7th period. With Mr. Urban, I think, unless we have a different sub.
There's 2 Mr. Urbans now.
I know, I'm a younger Mr.